So these are Sumo Mandarins, and today we'll be using them to make citrus sweet rolls. So we're first going to be starting with heating up some milk on the stove, and we're going to be heating this up for about 2 minutes. Now with this heated up, we're going to measure some out into the KitchenAid bowl. And so now we're going to return the milk back to the stove, and I have some flour here too, and we're going to make a tangzong. And that is essentially just some milk and flour mixed up together. It'll form a consistency similar to mashed potatoes, and that'll help keep the sweet rolls nice and soft. We're now going to add in some cold water. I now have 3 eggs that are directly from our fridge, and I'm going to break them into the bowl. Then I have a teaspoon of yeast, and we'll then add in the rest of the flour. All right, so while our dough is sitting, I'm going to work on the sugar mixture next. Some salt, and then we'll do the zest of one of the mandarins. And as it's mixing, we're going to add in our citrus sugar. And as it's mixing, we're going to be putting in these little pieces of butter. All right, so it's been about 20 minutes, so we know that our dough is ready. Now with it covered, we'll let it rise for an hour or two. All right, so it's been about an hour and a half, and this has risen significantly. So now I'm going to cover it again, put it in the fridge, and let it continue rising. All right, so it's the next day, but before we take the dough out of the fridge, we want to work on the filling. So I have some brown sugar, a pinch of salt. Then we're going to do the zest of 1 mandarin. All right, so now we can start working on rolling out the dough. So I'm going to flour my surface. So I have some room temperature butter here, and I'm going to start by rubbing the butter onto the dough. So now I'll take my filling and just sprinkle it all throughout. All right, so at this point, I'm going to take the edge closest to me and start rolling it up. And then we're going to leave it on the seam. So after measuring this out, it looks like I'm actually going to be getting 12, which is totally fine. But I'm going to take my floss, and then I'm going to go under, and then we'll just make a cross like that. And then we have our roll here. I got 12. They're a bit misshapen, but that's going to be totally fine. They'll taste the exact same. And so now we'll cover them. So these are now going to sit in a warm place for about 30 to 60 minutes. All right, so our oven is ready to go. It's at 350, so we're going to put these in the oven covered for about 15 minutes. All right, so it's been 15 minutes, so we're going to uncover it. This is what it looks like so far. So we're going to put it back in the oven again for about 15 to 20 minutes. All right, so we're going to work on the orange cream cheese frosting while the rolls are cooling down. I have some powdered sugar. I have a little bit of butter. And then we have a zest of a Sumo mandarin. And then a little of the juice as well. All right, so these have cooled down a bit, so now we're going to take them out of the pan. So then we'll take our cream cheese frosting that we made and just put it on top. All right, and so now the best part, I get to eat one. These remind me of those orange Pillsbury rolls, but much better. A lot more softer too. And of course, the inside is always the best with a homemade cinnamon roll. And then you can see some of the bottom has caramelized a little bit too. I'll have the recipe in my caption and then the full one in my Substack.